Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Innovators preview for our risk-based and patch management solutions. So today, you're going to hear from our product management team on the enhancements they have made to the Q2 2024 release. So I just want to kind of mention some of our current opportunities that we have going on our Innovators Engage and our Innovators Connect. So we have several challenges. So the current opportunities is you can take a challenge for the beta for design partner on an application control environment. We also have a challenge that will direct you to the recording for Ask the Experts with Chris Gottel. We have another beta for Ivanti One login. Learn more about what's happening in the ISS 2024. And then for some of our upcoming opportunities, we have the UWM user group meeting happening on March 19th, the Women in IT user group meeting March 22nd. And then we also have our recordings for the Ivanti Neurons 2024 Q2, ITSM and ITAM 2024 Q2. And then lastly, before I hand it over to our product team, I just kind of want to give a plug in for the Ivanti Solutions Summit 2024. We do have a lot of exciting sessions happening, and we really hope to see you all there. So if you haven't registered yet, I will be putting the link in the chat as well, so you can kind of go out there, look at the agenda, and hopefully register to attend. So now I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Abhinav. I hope I pronounced that right. So again, please remember, stay on mute and put any of your questions in chat, and we'll get to them at the end.
So these are today's presenters. We'll have Mike Heineman. He's a VP of Product for Risk-Based Solutions. Alicia, who is a staff product manager for Risk-Based Solutions. They're both going to be presenting some interesting cool features for RBVM and ASOC. My name is Abhinav Tiwari. I am a Senior Director of Product for Risk-Based Solutions, also a Global Head of UX Design. And we also have Charity. She's a product manager for Patch. So she will be presenting some recent updates from the Patch. This is today's agenda. We're going to go over our new product offering called Ivanti Neurons for EASM, External Attack Surface Management, which I'll quickly walk through. Following that, we'll have a RBM and ASOC from Mike and Alicia, and then Patch for Intune and ISEC security controls from Charity. So let's start with Ivanti Neurons for EASM. This is our newest product offering, a newest member of our Ivanti products. It's for external attack surface management. So this external attack surface management is a upcoming emerging technology that a lot of customers are using to sort of fill the gap that their discovery tools are not able to find for all externally exposed assets across the internet. So let's start with understanding what do we mean by attack surface. So attack surface is basically it's a sum of known and unknown digital assets that any attacker can potentially use as a point of initial entry. So as you can see, there are like three major blocks that constitute to attack surface. You have managed assets, which most of your discovery tools or connectors are able to find, and there's a great visibility around those assets, so they're not really a point of concern. You have third-party assets, on the other hand, which are also kind of partially managed, and you have a decent level of visibility there. But the unknown assets, including shadow IT, dev environment, test data, cloud stores, that is something that usually are kept by those connectors. I mean, it could be a marketing website that was done years ago and forgotten. It could be a Java application running on an old dusty server that you thought was decommissioned years ago. It could be a high-risk third-party vendor who has access to your system. Just like if you remember 10 years ago, it was an HVAC vendor that eventually led to Target's exposure of credit card and personal data for more than 110 million customers. So these are some examples of assets that adds to the total number of attack vectors that hacker could use to manipulate a system to extract the data. And not all these are easily visible or brought in by those connectors. So EASM is a technology that kind of helps you uncover those issues and bring more visibility to the asset that you own, but you're not really aware of. So how do we do this, right? So the first step is to identify. So here's an example of how you can discover your digital assets by just entering the domain name. All you have to do is just enter the domain name, your company, like mydomain.com. And a tool, a product can crawl across the internet. And I'm using the word crawl since scan is not the right word here. People usually associate scan with some connector that needs authentication, integration in order to discover assets. But this is all publicly available data. Like any hacker can, with a little bit of effort, can find all this easily. So nothing's behind the firewall, nothing's behind, and of course, I mean, we do have like 140, 150 plus sources to collect the data from different, like DNS records, whois, NetBlocks, SSL certificates. A lot of them are like freely available or paid sources, but nothing that a hacker cannot access. So using seed domain as an input, a product can conduct a lateral subdomain level discovery using publicly available sources like DNS, CRT, logs, PR news release, social media posts, news articles, blog posts, IPS, etc. So basically, this provides you with a comprehensive inventory of your assets sort of directly exposed to public internet, regardless of the network, of your cloud provider, or any account they're hosted in. So while going through these asset discoveries, this product also look for any known vulnerabilities or CVEs published on NVD. Any open ports, thousands of software versions, any common misconfiguration, not just CVEs but non-CVE exposure as well. Default credential check, secret keys, or any blacklisted domain or IP address. So basically, we are able to figure out which of these exposures are critical and pose greater threat to your system. And we show all that in a UI, which I'm going to share with you in a few moments. So this is how we crawl across the internet, look into every possible record, and bring all the data to UI. So we're basically giving you a hacker's view of your assets and any exposure that might be associated based on the criticality. So this is sort of a quick release summary that is coming up on, I think, first week of April. We're releasing this product. So this is just initial release, not a fully developed product yet. We're going to have a subsequent release, hopefully by end of May, maybe a month and a half, followed by the first release with a little bit more features. But this features will give you, this release will give you your assets, exposures, and Insight View, which is your dashboard. You have capabilities to add or remove seed domain. You can remove assets. You can resolve exposures. You can mark them as resolved. You can add tags. All these features are available. It's a new module for Neurons, so the existing Neurons customers should be able to add this as SKU. We have a special offer for customers who want to sign up as beta for this product. We'll offer them a couple of months, I think up to 3 months free subscription for this product. So if you are interested, please feel free to reach out to me or Mike, and we'll hook you up with the sales guys who can help you set up with this product. So this SKU can be activated on all existing tenants. Or if you are not a Neurons UAM customer, you can still buy this product as a separate SKU, which will come along with the Neurons platform. So we have 2 or 3 RBAC roles for initial release. We're going to keep on adding as we have more features. We're going to keep on adding more roles and privileges. Okay, so this is once you subscribe to this product, you'll see a new menu called Attack Surface, along with other SKUs, supply chain, spend intel, bots, or discovery devices and all. There'll be a new item called Attack Surface. It'll have three items to begin with: Insights, which is a dashboard, your list of your exposures, and list of your all assets. So let's start with Insights. I'll give you a quick overview of. They'll have like a KPIs, which are not configurable yet, but in the subsequent release, we'll make them configurable. We'll kind of give you a high-level overview of your key metrics, including your internally exposed internal assets, your high-risk services, high-risk CVEs, vulnerabilities, your blacklisted assets, any email and IP breaches that might have happened. The discovery tool kind of gives you your all type of assets, 7 type of assets. They're categorized into 7 categories, and how many of them are exposed. Top 5 vulnerabilities based on the VRS. VRS is a tool. It's a scoring system that we have, internal scoring system. Which kind of gathers the intelligence data across 100 plus sources, and consolidate them into one scoring. So this is built on top of CVSS scoring, which is set by NVD. So we do present the CVSS scores as well as VRS. VRS also sort of incorporates some trending data, which CVS is not able to provide. So let me jump into CV real quick. Just to show you, yeah. So here you see the VRS score is 9.72, which is critical, while CVS is 3.0, is just 7.5, which is high, not critical. So on top of CVSS, we found that this particular CV, this particular vulnerability is in trending. It has RC without UI. It's also associated with CISA-CAV. So we mark it as critical as opposed to NVD, which marks as high. So that's the added intelligence on top of your CVSS score. So yeah, so the dashboard will give you a high-level overview of your open exposure, the funnel that kind of helps you get to your critical prioritized threats first. So you can quickly look at these exposures, try to remediate them, and then go from left to right. It also gives you a geolocation, so it'll be easy for you to understand, if you know that your assets, that you don't have any presence in maybe Japan or Australia, but you still see some assets, which might be some shadow IT, right? So it's easy to comprehend your based on your geolocation. A lot of this is sort of recently embedded data, so that's why you don't see too much temporal info. But as you start using this tool, this will help you continuously monitor your assets, and you'll see more temporal data and historical data on these histograms. The list of assets it kind of gives you the high level domain, the C domain that I added, and all the exposures and the other assets, hosts and other assets that are associated with those domains. I can easily add any domain that I want, avc.com or whatnot. It's as easy as just put a seed in, and then add seed. It's gonna be listed here in a few seconds, and it'll take a few minutes to crawl across the internet and then populate the database on the seeds. So once you first land, you will have no seeds, so basically no data. But as you start adding seeds, it's going to start populating data and bring in all the exposure and asset data. So this is some high-level filtering available here, and clicking on these will filter the list down below. You can go to let me actually go back to asset real quick, show you an example of an asset in. Like in this case, if I click on this one, vdex.nba.com, this is asset pulled in from nba.com seed domain, gives you a list of exposure. This one doesn't have any, but it'll give you a list of all the exposures that this might be impacted with, any tech stack, any whois information. So it gives you an overview of where the data came from, and if it has any critical exposures. So it kind of helps the IT admin, the security admin quickly go over these assets, make sure that they belong to their company, and if there's any attention needed to remediate those. Same with exposure. If I click on any exposure that I showed you just now, it kind of gives you high-level summary, any recommendation links that we found for that particular vulnerability. High-level detail about the vulnerability, and if there's any, if they're part of any weakness, CWEs, it'll show up here. Any associated threats and the link, reference link. Any impacted asset, how many assets currently it's impacting. Currently 13 assets are being impacted by this particular CV. You can dig a little bit deeper into this. So despite having a very light release, even this first release kind of gives you a very good information about all your assets that we found across the internet and exposures. And as we get more feedback from customers, we're going to keep on improving and keep on adding features. We'll have a capability of generating periodic reports, PDF reports out of this product. We're going to define scoping using workspaces within the product, then seed management, and a bunch of other features coming in the next subsequent release. So far, this is it. Feel free to type in any question that you might have. And like I said, if you're interested in trying this product, reach out to me and I'll connect you with our sales guys. That's it from me.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk quickly about the release summary for RBVM and ASOC. Just as an overview, we're not going to cover all of these features, but just to give you a quick overview. So we did several updates to the list view that we've been working on based off of UI feedback from customers, additional exports based on user feedback as well, additional options in the exports. From the integration side, we did Rapid7 Direct API, which is currently wrapping up. We did. We're working on Microsoft Azure DevOps as well. We're doing our first GRC integration with Metric Stream for the risk acceptance portion, working with a couple of large customer design partners. Tenable.io policy compliance is we've kind of swapped around a couple of things based off of some customer needs. So Tenable.io policy compliance data is something that we're actively working to wrap up as well. And then as usual, a lot of updates to existing integrations that we didn't want to enumerate here, but pretty constant feedback on new features or additions that third parties are doing. On the data related feature side, the custom attributes was added to the generic upload mapping capabilities, which allows the new custom attributes that were released recently to be able to be used in generic upload. And findings collections, some updates to findings collections, which is part of what Alicia will talk about here in a little bit, along with the automation enhancement portions. She'll also be touching on the auto ticket creation for Jira, and some new notifications being still worked on, but coming for expiration and expired workflows, and also working on the automation ending one for the new workflow automation feature as well. A new widget that we'll be working on here is workflow date calendar widget, which is a calendar widget similar to our SLA calendar widget that'll allow you to see from a calendar perspective the number of workflows that you have that will be expiring over the course of the next month or two. As you look through, you can kind of see those numbers on the calendar. And last is data ingestion UX updates. So finding articles is a new feature that we're bringing in, which I'll be talking to here in just a second, which is essentially a blog-like article. So these finding articles that we're giving to you are pretty cool. They solve many different Ivanti ideas that we've received over the past few years, actually, since before even RBVM used Ivanti ideas, and we had our own feature request system. So What we're delivering is a markdown solution that allows you to author an article, including images and code snippets and all that kind of stuff. The full markdown experience. So we're delivering this and the capability to attach it to the findings within the RBVM platform. So, as you hook up your scanners and your third-party sources and you bring the data in, or even if you're manually bringing that stuff in from, pen test findings and something like that with generic upload, this finding article feature will allow you to author a blog-like article on those findings. And there's a couple of different use cases that you can author these for that we've gotten requests for, just to sort of give you an idea. So we have a lot of red teamers that are requesting this feature so that they can author these blog-like articles on findings coming in from the scanners, because they are actually doing evidence tracking and proof of exploitation against these in what would be kind of considered, I guess, a pen test, but for red teamers, they're internal. So it's like an internal pen test or internal security audit of something. So as they go in and they perform that test, they can put their evidence there directly on the finding from, the scanner. Could be Nessus or Qualys or, Black Duck or anything like that. And then on the flip side of the coin, we've had other customers who have requested more of a blue team scenario where they're interested in authoring these blog-like articles, including screenshots for how-to articles and how to fix a certain type of issue. So if you have a pretty widespread special locally grown solution that has log4j, for example, right? And your scanner or your EDR is finding, all those files across multiple devices. You can select all of them and author a blog-like article that says, here's how you remediate this thing, and attach it to all of them, so that the people that get assigned to them can actually see a how-to article, the blog article that you wrote about how to assign it. So kind of, both different flavors on the red and the blue for feature requests that or Ivanti ideas that we're solving with this. There's a couple of new privileges that are associated with them. One privilege which allows you to see what we call the finding articles, and a secondary privilege to see what we call the restricted finding articles. So as you get these roles and these privileges, if you are authoring a restricted finding article, then only people with the restricted permission can read it. So if there is sensitive information, for example, or you don't want the general user of your platform to be able to see the restricted finding articles, then you can simply not, take away that privilege or not give it to them in the first place. And while they will be able to see the name of it, they won't be able to actually open it and read the article. So in case there are some sensitive information or even in some cases, red teamers write up how-tos on how to produce something, and maybe only the other red teamers need to be seeing it, not necessarily something that they want, the system admins to be seeing and trying to reproduce and that sort of thing. So there's the ability to do that. And then one last thing that we've added in there is that the author of the finding article also allows for them to directly say that this article is about a proof of exploitation. And additionally, there is another option there that allows the author of the article to emphasize that this should be affecting the scoring and enforcing the organization to look at it and fix it before there's an issue. And so if you do this, it will affect the RS3 score of the assets and the groups of those assets that they're in. There's a new drop down that you have. You see here, you can just select some findings and author an article. You can also attach it to an existing article, whether you're, red team centric or blue team centric. In this case, we'll just click the create button here real quick, show you a little bit about it. You get to author the title of the article. Again, you get to say whether this document is classified as unrestricted or restricted. You only get this option if you are a person who has access to author and see restricted articles. And so the information there tells you that it's available to any user with the ability to view the finding article content and attachment. If it's unrestricted, and if it is restricted, then it becomes visible only to users with privileges to view the restricted information. Again, they'll be able to see that there's an article on there and what the title of it is, but they won't actually be able to see the content. Does the article provide proof of exploitation? You can do a yes or a no, which is simply more information for you to be able to look at. But if you do yes, and the organization should prioritize it, a little explanation here will come up along with an I understand confirmation down at the bottom, because again, it will affect the assets score, RS3 score, and the groups and overall organizational score will be capped at a 549. And this is an indication that there is a serious proof of exploitation that somebody from a red team perspective is trying to convey to the organization. And by capping the score at 549, which is the top of our orange bar on the RS3 dial, it will allow everybody to see that there's a pretty big issue. You usually do this for something, for example, from a red team pen testing perspective that was able to achieve total domain compromise, right? So indicating that you definitely need to fix it now. Not only was it found by the scanner, but it was also validated that it was used in a mock domain compromise attack. And then finally, is there a potential of exposure of PII? So here you can answer none, unknown, direct, or indirect. And so this information will just be something that you can search for and is a common set of classifications that the red teamers would typically be using. So here, we'll go ahead and put it to just yes, not yes, and understand. And then go ahead and select yes, continue to the article editor. And once we get there, again, not a lot to show here, but to wrap up, you do get an editor that allows you to write in the Markdown. You'll get a live view of it on the right-hand side here. So as you're typing on the left-hand side, the right-hand side will show you what the HTML version will be like whenever you're reading stuff, from within the platform, not in the edit mode, but, just reading it and looking at it. So if you want to, do bold or headings or italics or strike through, all these things are all, there's some buttons there to help you do that and, figure out what the markdown version of those things are. You have the ability to do lists and numbers and, of course, code blocks and stuff like that. And all this information is there. You can also attach files, and once you attach those files, you can insert them into the article that you're writing. So, and then you submit it. We can cancel this one. We don't have to submit it, but you can submit it there. And then whenever you see the platform, you'll be able to see it in the detail pane. So if you look at the detail pane here, scroll down just a little bit more, there's a finding article section there. Yep. So you can see the name of it, and you'll see the information about the article. And of course, if it's restricted and you don't have permission to click that view the article button. But if it is not restricted or you have restricted permissions, for example, and it's restricted, then you'll be able to open it up and you'll be able to see all the information about that article. In this case, it doesn't have necessarily any screenshots, but here's where you'll be able to read that and scroll through and look at it. And that's it. The only other thing to cover is that there's many places in the platform where you'll see that yellow triangle that you see there in the asset details section there on the right, where it says proof of exploitation, reduce this score to a 300. on our executive dashboard, for example, you'd see the same thing. So it really is a pretty big deal to check that box. That's why we have that I understand, because it does have a lot of ramifications for the organization and the risk scoring that they may be tracking. But once that stuff is, you see it here, the yellow triangles on both sides there. And from that link there, if you click on that findings with proof of exploitation, you'll be able to go directly to the set of findings that have the exploitation that is preventing your score from going above a 549. So. And it kind of depends on the maturity level, maybe of your organization and whether or not you're prepared to do that. But you don't have to. Of course, you can say it's a proof of exploitation without putting the final step on there. And again, you can use this just as easily to say how you fix things. You don't have to use it to say how you were able to, break down or work around things. So with that, I'll pass it on to Alicia to cover her portion, and then we'll move on to Chair.
All right, thank you, Mike. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
We can, yes.
All right, so I would like to talk about findings collections. We're excited to introduce this new feature. This is basically going to enable you to group findings and organize your data based on a specific filter criteria. And you can use, finding attributes that you have that are coming from your scanners. You could do severity, asset groups, tags. You can create these views to be group by collections, so that each row is a summary of the things that you've grouped by. And this is very similar to our existing views that you're used to using, but the difference is that this is going to be the foundation of our actions that we want to take against this filtered set of findings. And so when you have created this collection, that collection will be updated in real time, and it will also automate our ticket creation process downstream and other features that we have in the works that could be based on these collections. So this goes hand in hand, these finding collections, where you're able to define the element that you want to look at and the filters involved. This is the basis for our new JIRA ticketing automation. And JIRA will be the first auto ticket creation a downstream that we're doing, and we'll also be adding ADO and ServiceNow in the future. So basically using the collection that you created, which is, like I said, a set of filters that you've defined, you would then be able to define a auto ticket creation against that collection. And within that, it gives you the ability to define the type of data that you want to have go into JIRA, or in the case of other future ticket systems, you would have the fields that are available to those. And these tickets could have the contents of our findings, or it could have a custom content that you want. You would basically define all this during your auto ticket creation, and then you can define how many of these tickets you want to have created. So, for example, in the case of this here on our screen, this has 2,539 host findings, and that would create 2,539 tickets. And so you can throttle that with the settings in this new feature that to say only create 100 tickets a day, or over the next 2 weeks, or and we can show you that. So we're really excited about this new feature. It's been much asked for by our customers, and we have several that are beta testing this new JIRA creation. Let me show you that in the platform. So here we have, you're familiar with, on the left-hand side here, our user views and system views, and you should see this new collection view. And so essentially a collection view is as I said, an applied filter. So in the case of this one, it's just a single host. And or we have an example of a group by. So it's a particular network and VRR low. But here, when I just clicked on it, all it did was apply the filter. But if I want to see the view, it will actually load the view. And I can customize every aspect of this view. I can add columns. I can have this be the view that people are applying when they're trying to work a particular project. So in the case of the automated ticket collection, once I have chosen a collection view that I want to have the automated tickets based on, I can go in here and configure a collection for auto ticket creation. And so this is not going to work first because we need to create a fresh one. So let me create a fresh one. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new collection. And I'm going to call it Alicia. And so now when I go and apply that ticket, that collection, I can now go in here and configure it for auto ticket creation for Jira. And so now it's telling me that there are 38 host findings that match my selectors. And this is going to always be based on the filter and never on any particular findings that you have selected. It's not based on selected findings. In fact, it won't even let you get to this screen if you have selected findings within this. So everything is being acted upon the filter itself. And so we'll continue to the configuration of this, and we have to pick our Jira connector that's working. So what it did is it went and it pulled all of the Jira specific options that my Jira instance is presenting, all of the fields that we have in our connection. So obviously, you would configure this to have all of the settings that you prefer on your Jira tickets. So you have the choice when you're setting up this connector to create these tickets as bugs or tasks or whatever type that you use typically. And then you can fill in the summary of the ticket with the plugin information. So this will give whatever that field is. Or you can manually say stuff, type in words you like. Or you can map it to a field in our platform. So if you prefer the status field as the summary or whatever. And then the same thing for the description field. You can choose fixed versions. I'm not going to go through all these fields because obviously this is custom to our Jira, but obviously each one of these fields is available based on what it pulled. And here you have the indication that reporter is mandatory, and this is defaulting to the creator of the Jira connector. And so, like I said, we've got all these fields, so we can manually enter values or map a field to add this data. And then we can set the ticket to be created on SLA due date. You could also enter information of your own choosing. So there's the option to prioritize syncing of VRR. So you can use the basis of how serious of a VRR score is or a severity score is to be the basis of your priority in Jira. So you could say that a critical has to be hot fixed and a high, is critical. You could do whatever method you like, or you could just go with defaults. And so once you've configured the required fields, skip one. It will allow you to continue. So, and then it's just going to confirm that you've chosen what settings you've chosen for this configuration. And here it's telling me that it's going to create 791,000 tickets, right? So I have the ability to also configure it to set these to a closed state whenever all the associated findings for the ticket are closed enrichments. That's optional. And then the final one was rate limiting how many tickets per day for how many days are we going to create these tickets. So obviously this would be a bad idea, this filter that I have. So I might want to go back and choose to create my collection with a group by. Maybe I want to group by the hoster or a fully qualified domain name, or even the domain itself. So you have such flexibility to create the tickets downstream based on these collections. You may have a situation where you want to do multiple tickets for the same finding, such as you have a host-based finding collection that goes out to Windows IT team, 2 weeks after Patch Tuesday, and say, what about these? Or you have a collection that's specifically trying to solve Log4j. And so you can create collections in advance of us getting your particular ticketing platform ready to go if you're not using Jira. And that will get you the basis of the concept that we would have a single ticket created per row of whatever your collection that you had created. And lastly, I wanted to touch on this gift card.
Here, and I'll do this one real quick, just because I want to be able to pass off to Charity. Charity, if you want to get ready, we're passing off to you. I thought we had 90 minutes. I apologize. So here, help Ivanti Neurons for ASOC or RBVM achieve customer choice recognition and Gartner Peer Insights. So if you're using it and are willing to give us a favorable review, that would be awesome of you. And Gartner can thank you for doing so with the gift card, and so it's a pretty good opportunity for both of us. And I'll pass it off to Charity to talk about some cool stuff that she has lined up to show you as well.
So I'm going to start off with third-party patching. All right. So one thing I do want to plug just real quick is the ideas portal that we have for third-party patching. Most, if not all, of the features that I put out for the Patch for Configuration Manager and Patch for Intune all come from those ideas that are put in the portal. So just a plug for any of you guys who are looking at that product or are currently a customer, please vote on those ideas. Take a look at them. I'm going to jump over to real quick Patch for Intune. I know this is Q2, but I do want to highlight real quick what we did in Q1. This is a market differential feature, and it's something that I highlighted in the last Innovator session, so I'll just touch on it. But we built a custom application publishing feature. Basically, you can publish anything outside of our catalog. So this includes maybe an application that we haven't put into our content catalog yet, or it can also be an application that is customized, like a VPN application where, it just wouldn't ever be in our catalog because, unfortunately it's customized to individual customers and their specifications. But definitely use this. It is amazing. We went beyond the went beyond the capabilities of Microsoft Intune itself. So this is definitely going to plug a lot of gaps for you if you're using any of that. All right. And then for Configuration Manager, so what we are doing in Q2, we've got a bunch of UI enhancements and we have a bunch of improvements that we are doing for a lot of the different screens and areas. And like I mentioned earlier before, all of these came from our ideas portal for the Config Manager. So this is our on-premise for SCCM for third-party patching. So let me go through these real quick. So for the software update groups, this one is still in progress, so I don't have a screenshot or anything for this. But essentially, we were finding some failures were happening when people were scheduling multiple tasks. So this is going to get released here April 16th. We'll have this out where you can then start using the software update groups for scheduling multiple tasks, and you won't see that error anymore. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but when you create a new SUG, you can select it now as opposed to having to refresh and having it come in there. So it's automatically going to be in there. You'll be able to do it. This one I'm really excited about. Inside the data migration tool, the refresh button, it was taking a while for it to pull in all the groups that it was would have been created or recently created. So we did some enhancement on the code in the back end, and this works great now. So if this is something that you guys are using a lot in the data migration tool, you're going to find this really, really helpful. So I'm really excited to get this out to you. The config checker. So we had a lot of feedback from customers and our support team that the config checker was a little confusing in terms of what it was actually checking for and what it was that it was erroring out on. So we did a complete overhaul of the UI, got some feedback from some customers who frequently use this, and then we updated some wording as well, just so that way there's better understanding and it's much clearer as to what this is for and its purpose and intention. And we've also updated the help documentation for when this releases, so that way when this does go out and available for download, if you referred over to the help documentation, you'll get the information that you need for that. And then this one is kind of a little silly one, but going back to the fact that I'm pulling these ideas out of our portal, we had a couple customers that said, "Hey, can you make this copy pastable?" Sure, why not? I'll absolutely do that for you guys. So this is coming out, and we'll be closing that idea out in the portal. All right, so let me jump over to security controls. Like I mentioned in the last Innovator presentation for Q1, we are continuing to work on our contentless patching for our Linux. So in Q1, we released Scan All, Patch All, that functionality with Oracle, Red Hat, and Send. In Q2, we're going to be releasing Patch by Notification, and then that will keep going. We'll eventually get up to parity with the other OSs we currently support. And so I wanted to make sure that I highlighted this, that we are continuing to work on this, making sure that we're releasing good quality parity every quarter with the contentless patching. And I will say, our tech comms guy, Simon, has been doing some really great videos, both on third-party patching as well as contentless patching. So there's going to be a playlist that'll be put in the chat to look at some videos, both about Patch for Intune as well as contentless patching. So I encourage you guys to take a look at those playlists and those videos. It really breaks down what it is that they have or what we're offering, and it gives a high-level summary in case you're interested in anything like that. All right, I am going to pass it back over to you, Shannon. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all of your presentations, and thank you everyone for joining us.